Happy New Year, everyone. This is the first lesson recording for IM1, January 5th, 2021. And as we begin the new year, we are going to start by asking this question. What is this symbol and how do we use it? Okay, so I want you to answer in private chat. Well, hopefully you're telling me that this is a square root sign. And how do we use it? Well, we're going to go through that today. So that's the goal for today. We are going to understand square roots and cube roots. And let's begin by taking some notes. What is square root of 25? Well, we're looking for a number when squared becomes 25. What is a number when it's squared becomes 25? So a number times number is what we mean by squaring is 25. What does that number have to be? It's being repeated 2 times. The number is being multiplied 2 times. So that number has to be 5 and 5, right? It's the same number being multiplied to itself 2 times. So that's 5 times 5 is 25. So we know that square root of 25 is 5. And we say the square root of 25 equals 5. That's how you read this. Let's explore a visual relationship or visual representation of the square root. Remember, area is a side length times side length. We know that, okay? To find the area of this square, we multiply this side with this side, okay? But in the case of square, that means the length, and this length, they are always going to be the same, right? That's what makes a square. So what is the side length of a square with the area of 25 units squared? Okay, so if the area is 25 units, what is the side length? That's what the visual representation of square root is. So this is same as square root of 25 is what? So we are looking for the side length given the area. And so the square root gives you go from area to side length. Okay, you're given the side area and you're looking for the side length. So how do we find the square root? Okay, so if you have a square root of 25, how do we do that? You need to know your perfect square numbers. Okay, what are perfect square numbers? Well, 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, so if you have the side length of 1, and the other side length of 1, a square with side length of 1 and 1. So 1 times 1 is 1. So 1 is a perfect square. If you have the square with side length being 2 each, that means 2 times 2 is 4. And 3 times 3 is 9. And 4 times 4 is 16. And 5 times 5 is 25. So you go through the list of perfect squares until you get to 25. I mean, hopefully you know your multiplication tables, so you know that what is the number that multiplies to itself twice gives 25, and you should know that 5 times 5 is 25. That means that number square root of 25 is 5. So make sure you understand the square or you are familiar with all the perfect square numbers. Of course, it does not, the perfect square numbers do not end here. It continues on to what's 6 times 6, 36, what's 7 times 7, 49, and so on. Okay, so that's how you do it. So I would like you to tell me in private chat, and these are the perfect squares up to 9 times 9. Okay, and it does go on forever, in fact. Okay, so what is the square root of 16? So square root of 16 is, tell me in private chat. Well, we know that we're looking for the perfect square number being 16. So the area is 16. What is the side length? The side length has to be 4, or 4 times 4 is 16. So the square root of 16 is 4. What about square root of 49? Okay, so this is a symbol for square root. And what's the square root of 49? We're asking for what is the side length that multiplies to itself gives 49. The number times number is 49. Find your 49. It's 7 times 7. So the answer is going to be 7. The square root of 64. Find your 64. 64 is here. So, and 64 is made up by the side length of 8 by 8. So, square root of 64 is 8. All right, what is the square of 5? This is different. Okay, notice the word square root and square. Very subtle, just one word difference, but this is not the same as 3. Square of 9 is you are given the side length and you're squaring it. Okay, so it's 9 times 9, which is 81, and this is not 3. Okay, the area is not 9. The side length, you're told the side length is 9, so you're looking for the area in this case. All right, so how to find square roots? If you were given what is the square root of 289? Well, you're looking for a number when it's squared, a number that's when squared becomes 289. So what is the number that when it's multiplied? Number times number is 289. Well, instead of just checking all numbers, let's use what we know to have more of an educated guess. That number has to be bigger than 10 because 289 is bigger than 100. Okay, so it has to be bigger because 10 times 10 is going to be 100. So that number has to be bigger than 10. But if we go to 20, if we think the number is like 20, 20 times 20 is going to give me 400. So we know that it's bigger than 10 times 10. 289 is bigger than 10 times 10, but smaller than 20 by 20. So it's somewhere between 10 and 20. The side length has to be somewhere between 10 and 20. Now, then let's go on to 289. Okay, so you look at the last digit. The last digit is 289. Last digit is the ones number, which is 9. Okay, so in that case, remember the perfect square. If you look at the last digits of the perfect square, okay, it's not going to be over here because this only goes up to 9. Okay, but it's going to be somewhere like it could be 15, it could be 17, it could be 13. But look at the last digits of the perfect square. Which is the perfect square that ends with 9 as the last digit? Here is a 9 here and another 9 here. Okay, so 9 occurs when you are multiplying 3 by 3 and also 7 by 7. So the last digit tells me it has to be 3 or 7. It has to be either 13 or 17 because when they are squared, it matches the 9 as the last digit. So I am going to try 13 and 17. What is 13 times 13? It's 169. What is 17 times 17? It's 289. So instead of checking all the numbers between 10 and 20, you can start to sort of eliminate which one should I be checking. And you are left with 13 by 13, which is 169, which is not 289. So 13 is not it, but 17 times 17 is 289. So that's what we found. Okay, so square root of 289 is 17. Great. So at this point, you are going to move on to Desmos activity and you're working on card number 1 to 5. And please pause the video and work through the first 5 cards yourself. I am going to go through them as well. Okay, the first card says Meet Blue. He's a perfect square who has whole number side length. Okay, you just need to read that. Then move on. Drag the red dot to modify blue. Okay, so you can make this Blue, his name is Blue, make it bigger or smaller, but it is a square, meaning that the two side lengths are exactly the same. So in this case, when the side length is 9 and 9 times 9 is how many blocks do we have? We have 81 blocks, or the area is 81. So, and you can change this to different length. Okay, what did you notice about Blue's side length and his total area? Well, the total area is always going to be multiplying the side length. So in this case, 11 by 11. 11 times 11 is going to be 121. If I multiply 9 by 9, 9 times 9 is going to be 81. And if I multiply 8 times 8, it's going to be 64. And that's why they are called perfect squares. Okay, perfect blue. Here is perfect blue. Blue is a type of square that always has whole number side length. So blue is always going to have just a whole number as the side length. It's a square. Blue's area is a perfect square because it, the side length is always a whole number. What is the whole number side length of the blue when he has an area of 100 square? If remember, the area is the space inside. If the space inside is 100, what do you think are the side length that multiplies to itself twice to give 100? What times what is 100? Hopefully you're telling me it has to be 10. Okay, so the whole number side length, the side length has to be 10, so that's going to be 10. And then, okay, so which is, this is the square root symbol. That's the symbol for it. The square root of blue area is the side length of the square. Okay, so square root, to take a square root of something, you're looking for the side length that multiplies to give the number inside. Okay, so what number times what number multiplied to itself twice gives 16? What is the side length? That's going to be 4. Okay, because 4 times 4 is 16. So the square root of 16 is 4. And square root of 100. Okay, if the area is 100, what is the side length? That's going to be 10. Okay, now it says find square root of 49. If the area is 49, if you have 49 little squares, then what do you think was the side length? What number multiplied to itself 2 times? That number times number is 49. Hopefully you're telling me it's 7 because 7 times 7 is 49. Okay, and then this one is there are 6 overlapping blue dots at position 0. Place the 6 square roots by dragging their dots. A star will appear when the 6 square roots are placed correctly. Okay, so here are the dots that you can drag. What is square root of 81? Okay, you tell me. What is square root of 81? One number times the same number, number times number is 81. That number has to be 9 because 9 times 9 is 81. So I'm going to move that. Okay, 9 will be before 10, but more than 5, very close to 10. Okay, what about square root of 225? Okay, so remember, if it's a big number, you know that square root of 100 is 10, and square root of 400 is 20. So we know that it's somewhere between 10 and 20. Now we need to look at the last digit. Okay, considering all the perfect squares, what is a number that ends with 5? Okay, so perfect squares up to 9. What is the number that ends with 5? The only number, only perfect square that ends with 5 is 5 times 5, which is 25. So we know that we could try 15. We knew that it was between 10 and 20, so we could try 15 times 15, and that is indeed 225, so I'm going to move that there. Okay, 64. 8 times 8 is 64, and so on. Okay, please finish this yourself.